Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I want to talk about something that I haven't really mentioned much on the channel, but I see it very often in the comments section. I see it all over Twitter, all kinds of claims that pretty much every big streamer, every YouTuber is using some kind of Cronus Max, Cronus Zen to cheat the system. And they pretty much claim that everyone has to be using it. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. Obviously, there are always going to be those people that decide to cheat in the community. But based off how COD is, it is completely unnecessary, and there's not really a reason to use that. Almost anyone can have very low recoil when it comes to Call of Duty because that is how it's designed. Let's go ahead and look at a couple of recoil patterns. Then we'll go ahead and compare those to real recoil patterns from other games that makes COD's recoil laughable. If you enjoy the video, learn something new, please do me a favor, hit the like button. If you're brand new, want to find your way back, double check, make sure you are subscribed with notifications on. Let's go ahead and get into it. And since I know a lot of people that play this game play on console, I have restricted the FOV to 80, which is the default for consoles. Regardless of which platform you are on, the default for consoles is 80 with independent, as we'll go ahead and double check here, because that's always going to be an argument. Well, my system, blah, blah, blah. Here it is for you, plain as day. So what I'm going to do is just shoot the wall from this distance here, and we're going to go ahead and look at that recoil pattern. This is with 50 mag, no other attachments. So we can see this recoil pattern goes probably my like 6-7 bullets up. And then it literally just goes one direction for the rest of the way. So if you just pull the trigger, hold the opposite direction, basically as if you're tracing a line, that's how you get rid of most of that recoil. If we do the same thing with this AK47, I can go ahead and line this up. We'll go ahead and shoot it. You'll see it has a lot of recoil at the beginning, and then it pretty much dies out on recoil. It slows down quite a bit. But in terms of recoil, literally just, there's a bunch of jumps here, but it literally just goes straight vertical. So I wanted to show this part as a comparison because so many people think these guns are very hard to control. And this is without any recoil stabilization. There's no commando foregrip. We're not using anything. This is just literally the raw gun with an extended mag to a certain extent. Now let's look at some real recoil. So here's a quick example from Rust. And what you're looking at is the reverse of the recoil pattern. This is actually the bottom, and then it goes up and to the right. And then it curves, and then it goes up and to the left, then up and to the right, and then up and to the left. So we're seeing a reverse flip of that. As you'll see as we go a little bit further, what you're going to look at is we're going to line up a shot. And what the goal is with this little objective is to practice your aim. So essentially, you're going to try and drag your mouse or your control, aim, and then what you would do is pull down, right, left, and literally you could trace this. And it looks kind of wonky when you actually see people do this type of motion, because what we'll do is look at the recoil pattern, look at how point blank this is, and this is how it literally draws out. Look at how it draws out on the screen. That's at point blank. That's what the recoil does at like 5 meters away with 0 player input. So right here, you can see that you could test it. It wasn't very accurate. And what people do is they get really good. So if we look at another example, we got a similar recoil pattern. It's going to go up and to the left. This is from CS. This is an older video, but just kind of look at the recoil pattern we can get of the AK47. What we're going to see is, wait, let me go a little bit earlier. So when he actually fires it, you're going to see it go up. It curves left, and then it curves right. It curves left, curves. So we end up with a very weird recoil pattern for only a 30 bullet spread. And then what you're going to see here is behind my camera, what you're going to see is their mouse actually adjusts for that. So they're going to go down and then left and right, left and right. And they're adjusting for those changes. That's why the Call of Duty recoil is very laughable to a certain extent, because literally if you've seen any other first-person shooter that is done on keyboard and mouse, literally, they have way more complex patterns and way more precision where literally as you're firing, your muscle memory is doing one of these as you hold the trigger and learning that spray pattern. So when we go back into the game here and we can see kind of what this is looking like, literally for me to control the RAM without any attachments, for the first couple bullets, I'm going to hold down and then I'm going to hold down and to the right. Literally counter that. And as you get better with it, you would get more comfortable with it. And then there's things like holding the trigger, let go, it resets, hold the trigger. And if you do this even in fast succession, it reduces the recoil significantly, so you can burst fire. But if I wanted to control this recoil, I'm going to do exactly what I'm telling you. I'm literally going to trace this in the opposite direction. So down for this portion, and then down into the right for the other portion. It's not going to be perfect, but that's how it takes practice. If you spend more time using one weapon, you'll get better at it. So if I hold the trigger, I hold down to the right, you can see where I lost a little bit of control there. This is at the 80 FOV that all console players play at. So I'd hold down and then hold down and to the right. So you get a little tight pattern. And this is magnified on these types of games. And this has been dumbed down, recoil patterns, because the vast majority of people playing the game are on controller. Probably 10 to 1 or maybe even 20 to 1 controller players to keyboard and mouse. And that's because the game was predominantly supported on PlayStation and Xbox. And when people transitioned to Warzone, people got PCs, they still play on controller just because they have a decade of playing on controller. But a lot of the stuff is geared towards controller players, and that being easy recoil patterns. Even if we do the AK, what's going to happen is I hold down, and then I need to hold down less. And even without any attachments, you can see it was starting to wobble there a little bit, but it's not a hard recoil pattern. And then if you go take it a step further and maybe you go, hey, you know what? I'm going to add on some attachments. We're going to make this like our normal build. We go monolithic. We're going to get the Ranger. We got commando foregrip, maybe attack laser thrown in there. Now we end up with the scenario where we're literally shooting this thing and it has reduced recoil that is already pretty easy to manage. And this, again, like I said, this is on console FOV. So now what I'm going to do is the same thing. I'm going to stand here, point down, and then point down to the right. A lot of people think you need a Cronus for that, but literally this is like one of the easiest recoil patterns in comparison to real first-person shooter games where they actually make a high skill gap. COD is trying to cater to the lowest denominator. So the filthy casual, literally people who play 1 hour a week, that's what this recoil pattern is for. And most people say this is one of the harder recoil patterns to control, even though this is a very, very basic recoil pattern. Even to shoot it at range, you literally do the exact same thing, and it looks like it doesn't move. It literally will look like it doesn't move. It adjusted quite a bit because I couldn't see, but obviously this is attack on. Maybe you're shooting somebody a little bit further range. You got aim assist involved. So there's a couple different things you want to do. Any weapon that you feel like you want to use, one, just shoot the wall, get the recoil pattern. Two, once you found the right FOV for you to play at, so for me, if that's 110, you're good to go. I could put on affected, and we'll see how this looks different. It'll look like it's less recoil. And there it goes. It ends up being pretty much the same pattern. You hold it the same exact way, so nothing changes. So once you've gotten your FOV dialed in, obviously console doesn't have the option, then you go to your controller and you figure out what works for you. Regardless if you use control freaks or not, regardless if you have a controller working that's brand new or you need a high dead zone because you have tons of stick drift, you have to dial this in. If you get this dialed in, you can literally make it like most guns don't have recoil. Obviously, there's a little bit of randomness that's very hard to control because it's not literal exact same recoil pattern every single time. But the more time you spend in the weapon, the odds are you can hold it, manage it. And that's why when people say, well, this gun has a ton of recoil. Well, literally, all you're doing is pulling down. It's not hard. Look at that. Look at those spray patterns. Literally. On my last mag. It doesn't look like it's moving. And it's not like I'm some god at the game. Obviously, I'm decent at COD because I played COD for a while. But literally, for how dumbed down these recoil patterns are, if you just want to get good at aim, you can get good at aim because COD has catered to you and everyone who plays the game. No matter what your skill level, COD has basically made it so anyone can shoot straight. And that's okay. That's part of what makes COD popular, is that literally anyone can jump on and beam from 100 meters away. And if you can't, that means your sensitivity's all jacked up. Fix it. I thought I'd cover that because I see this pop up a lot. Obviously, there are always going to be people that try to find a way to cheat. We're not talking about them. Literally, you can still shoot pretty dang straight, even without being a cheater. So, thought I'd throw it out there. for anyone struggling with their aim. Find the right sensitivity, learn the recoil pattern, adjust that recoil pattern, and you're going to be shooting straighter. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, learned something new. If you did, please do me a favor, hit the like button. If you're brand new, want to find your way back, double check, make sure you are subscribed with notifications on. Thank you for watching. As always, have a great day.